context of fresh foods. But in the context of our culture, that has been one of the lackluster components that has not been addressed. There has been some movement in New York with talks on this. Even one group was just invited from TEDx Manhattan because of our commitment on the notion of, if we're going to have farmer markets in the communities of color in New York, of course, why not incorporate those foods of the Caribbean population, of the African population? It makes natural sense. And so I experimented on myself, discovering my roots back in Nigeria, the Sula tribe, began transforming my own kitchen as I had a family now of 4 and wanted to see will my health improve. So I had 110 pounds on me between 2 pregnancies, lasting 10 months each on a 3-year period of time. And I am a trained nutritionist, but I grew up in Oklahoma, and so I grew up eating Midwestern foods. So with that said, I then began incorporating my cultural foods. My stepdad was from Ghana. I knew what West African foods taste like. My mom had a kitchen, and so I went back and asked my mom, what were the dishes that you made for those foods? How do I make this stuff? And so I began doing that through the process. My health had improved in eating my traditional foods. I began cooking more, eating out less, become a food snob, I guess you could say. Started inviting other friends to go into African restaurants, going to food shows, cooking those foods. And so now that's how I met Fossil Foods, and wanted to bring David Washington, who represents Fossil Foods, here, and also our other panelists from the Library of Congress that Sylvie made a connection with, and wanting to introduce them and why African foods are important. So David, if you can introduce yourself.
I think they've already introduced themselves, so we can just get into the issues. 2 minutes.
The relevancy, and I just want to stay focused on the question, why are African and foods perhaps maybe from the Caribbean diaspora relevant? They are relevant because there was an event that I went to on Monday called the Big Payback. And the Big Payback is a movement to pay back Haiti and to pay back Africa for freeing us. And it's a play on James Brown's song, The Big Payback. If it had not been for the revolutionaries in Haiti, all of us as African Americans would not be free. So we don't have to go through that history lesson. So as a result, there are commodities in Haiti, which is only 400 miles away from the shores of Miami, Dodge Island, that we can begin to import and export cocoa as well as vanilla from. As a result, we can increase their wage. So for us, the relevancy is that, one, in order to see if people improve, they must improve economically. As a result of economics, we can improve health, we can improve education, we can improve the zip codes that they live in and change their lives. So for us at Fossil Foods, instead of doing a lot of pontificating and a lot of talking, we believe in developing the relationships and create relevant products, healthy products that will improve our quality of life as well as the sustainability of those communities. How do we do that? We increase the wage. So, for example, with the Big Payback, an annual salary for a worker in Haiti is $200. The average pay for a person in Africa who's farming is $2 a day. So for Fossil Foods, we are paying the farmers a higher wage. We are right now buying weekly $200 directly in Haiti alone, just in cocoa, and we're doing the same thing in Africa. So as a business owner, we believe in creating business models and develop what's called direct trade relationships with the farmers to impact our lives. And as a result of impacting their lives, you impact the lives.
In food and nutrition, you understand and break this knowledge down. In fact, if you look at an African cookbook, there is no nutrition facts in that book. Okay, I select many of them. And so part of the knowledge is not just looking at the cookbook, but it's having food literacy, understanding what in the world are you looking at, and who can translate that, and where can I go as an online resource. So that's the other component of Native Soul Kitchen, is looking at what we can do in training other conscious culinary entrepreneurs who are focused on keeping culture centered. So are there any questions in the audience at all that you may have never thought of asking? And this is a great time to engage a panelist. Yes.
Okay, so I go to Howard. Howard is a social black college. You know, so students there are black, but we don't see any food that's African-centered. A lot of people eat actually bad us.
Yes,
I know that, like, there's always jokes that you come to Howard, you get sick.
Yes, and that's what has your contract.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out, like, students have gotten together to create a coalition to make, you know, our health better.
We should.
But it's just, I think it's more of a statement more than a question, but students who have recognized overeating is bad, and a lot of us are getting sick and getting
Yep, more degrees equal more disease.
Yeah, and a lot of people's skin breaks out, and I don't know, it's just, you just think that, like, you come here and like read with all this good food, but
Sodexo, if you see their contract,
we know
straight
Sodexo.
different than over at GW where their contract is.
Yeah,
Why?
we know Sodexo.
Yes.
And you know what, just on a practical level, have you, obviously sometimes I pronounce the words wrong because I'm an African American. But there's a tea which is called Cameroonian, which is huge, and I think there's some brothers and sisters in here that are from Africa, they can speak to that. That is a drink that in Africa is boiled and it's cooked, and it's something that grows in the wild. It's all natural. I can promise you, if you drank some Cankaliba, not only would you lose weight, you would be naturally cleansed every single day, and you start a movement by connecting with companies that are doing something, that are creating products, and then you start a movement on your campus, and you talk about, I've discovered a product, it's African-based, it's Caribbean-based, it's something that would be good for our community, and you start implementing that in your diet, and that's how change occurs. If you want change to occur, you have to become that change, and it starts with the fews. It doesn't start with the many. So you asked the question, made a remark. So I'm giving you a solution. So now it's up to you if you're going to move forward within the next 24 hours to demand a change and make a difference.
Can you spell it?
Oh, Cankaliba? It's spelled Kinkeliba. Cankaliba.
Did you read that off of that bottle?
No, it's a tea. It's an actual real, it's real. It's not theory. So typically this is something that's you have to boil in a pot. So what we've discovered in our company, most of our African brothers and sisters that live in America, they're now sophisticated. They now shop at Whole Foods. They no longer want to go in the bush and get bushes and burn them, you know, and cook like how they do at home. So what we did is that, hey, listen, we know you're sophisticated, you have an Ivy League degree, you went to George Washington, and you have a PhD. So we made the tea that you had at home in the form of a tea bag. Same thing on that. So I don't read it off this piece of paper, but it's real, and it's something that's available for you, and that's what we produce. For the very reasons.
You're from Texas? I live in Taco.
And another piece of that, we want to, especially in
Yeah, when you were able to, is there something we can do?
the nutrition program at Howard, they have no African nutrition at all, which blew my mind. And that is one of the places to start. We have a very high Caribbean population there, who are, they're training Jamaicans to be nutritionists, but they're spitting Eurocentric food ways. Like, what in the mess is that all about? So start demanding, you have a system return on nutrition. Go on, demand change. You are supposed to be paid just like you're voting in your school system. So start creating change right there and demand, why are you not doing this? Because when they didn't have it, when they did not create the unique value proposition of it, why are you being interested in UDC? So I took my money over there where it was cheaper, where they actually had a more culture-focused approach, gave you flexibility. And so that is why it almost got shut down. Okay? They're not looking to have new blood in their system and revamping their nutrition program. So you need to look to change it. So if we want to address all Afrocentrics on the side, we need to start eating Afrocentric. Don't just look at eating, walking, talking. Okay?
And just one other thing that I want to add to this brother's point that was up earlier. He talked about how if he had to be a god, he wanted to be the god of food. And the next thing he talked about was how food was political, how food was economic. You have to think, at the World Bank no longer at their J building carries Snapple, or honest tea. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but now because there's a large African population, and there happened to be a sister in the catering department, in the kitchen, who knew Lucini, our partner, and she says, listen, I love your products. And that sister demanded for a year. She could never make it happen. But I was at the Fancy Food Show, and I happened to meet all of the executives of the World Bank who were shopping for food, and that contract is controlled by Restaurant Associates. I met a sister, she tasted the products, and now at the World Bank, because of revolutionaries within demanded the product, now when you go into the J building, they're drinking boba, okay? Yeah. That's, you know, that comes from a tree in Africa. Huge tree. I don't know all of the things. I don't have the wisdom because that's not my space, but this is my sister's space, and she can tell you about what boba is. She can tell you about the lychee nut. She can tell you about the hibiscus. So we're producing these natural drinks that you can demand. So that's what they did at the World Bank from the inside. So to her point, we have a real life example, and these models of things that we can move, and we can begin to move in cell groups to start saying this is what we want, and you can make it happen. And for all intents and purposes, you can be the one that spearheads, hey, listen, we drink Mariba products. Mariba products, a brother from Mali started the company. He was a biochemist. He's been in business for 15 years. His products are sold all throughout Europe. So we got behind Mariba and we said, hey, listen, we need to have beautifully packaged, sophisticated African goods that look like this, and we'll bring them to this country. So we're looking for champions like you. So if you want to take on the challenge, you can do that with the Mariba line, which is African, it's healthy, it's natural, and then it's just beautiful. It's very attractive, so you can feel good, because you can say, oh, wow, listen, this is ours, and you're giving back.
And if you want to start with Black History Month, I'll be teaching healthy African cooking classes in Southeast at St. Teresa and Avila, introducing products like Vassal Foods and other local-owned, minority-owned African food products that you should know about and support and help your community and help yourself in the process. So
location time is it?
Yes, it'll be Thursday evenings at 7 p.m., St. Teresa Avila, Parish Life Center at 14th B, Southeast DC. And it's an Afrocentric from the Catholic Church. In the back, and I'm on this.
My question is, we're all adults that are sitting in here, basically, I think the kids are gone. So are we teaching our young children, starting like at kindergarten age, that we can have gardens within the schools? Because if you asked a kid, when children were asked this question, where does milk come from? And they say from the store.
Right.
They don't know. So is there a program or involved with children where you're teaching children at a young age? Because that's where it starts.
Right, and that is what the third panel is all about. And I can say as a nutrition educator, when I was with DDC doing extension services, when I would go into the preschool and teach nutrition, I would do a program and make songs about discovering grains around the world. And I would introduce sorghum, millet, quinoa, all these different grains, and have them learn geography through the grains. And so that's another creative way in which we can kill many birds with one stone by seeing the fusion between, and that's what I'm doing for my program for Black History Month, incorporating our ancestral history, how people can discover their heritage and discover it through their roots as well. So this is where the conversation begins. This is where the movement begins. And if we can say there's a farm to school movement, well, now let's start using a culture to school movement as well.
And also, in the products that you have, you're saying they're natural, they come from trees and so on and so on. So in the process of making these products, are they using like substitute sugar? You know how they have the, what are those substitute
No,
sugars?
unfortunately, we just feel is that it's beneath us to use high fructose sugar and things of that nature. So that's for people who want to poison us. So we decided not to use that.
Because most of when the first panel was talking about economics,
Right.
I mean, that is one of the reasons why they use that instead of using pure cane sugar that they use to put in different products, because it's to make money.
Right.
Well, we want to make money too. They're not just opposing each other.
No, I understand you want to make money, yes. You should, everyone else does.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, when you're processing these products, I'm just asking the question, are we still using the same things that are used, the same bag?
Conversation about the bastardization of African foods like palm oil and coconut oil is atrocious, unfortunately. And really, when you look at products, the processing matters just as much as the product. If they're using hexane to extract the palm, then that's part of the problem. You have to look at naturally processing these foods matters just as much. Because if you have a product that is good for you, but then you do a transfiguration that goes you to hell versus heaven, well, you defeated the whole purpose of having something that is of health benefit to you. And unfortunately, that component of the process is not on the back of the government-issued nutrition fact label. And so having nutritionists, having people who are knowledgeable about the food system, the food industrial complex, is critically important in providing resources that are actually going to be honest and straightforward. Any other questions in the audience? Yes, Ms.
I would like to find out whether you are focused on what videos you are focused on to get your product. I mean, as in
our development, a lot of our R&D, a lot of the processing in West Africa. Then we do some things in Mali because that's where Mariba happens to be from, but he lives in France. So we can do some packaging, we can do some manufacturing in different parts of Africa, and then some of it we do in Europe, and then some of it we do in New Jersey, as well as New York and Rockford, Maryland.
Well, that's going to wrap up our panel. I know that there's other questions. We'll linger around for a few minutes afterwards. I want to prepare for the next panel, which is going to